Danny from NFT Butler, and today we are gonna have a look at the new NFT Butler version, all the new features. We have been coding day and night to bring out this new release this week. We will have a look at the collection search engine, at the trade search engine, at how to create dynamic bidding tasks based on collections and trades and multiple trades, how you can preview the dynamic filters in assets, and how you create fully automated looping tasks to give you an unfair advantage in the NFT market and NFT trading game. If you want to have a look at certain features, use the timestamps in the description to jump back and forth between topics. And if you would like to engage with our community, join us on Discord. We always love to see new people. So let's dive into this. So let's start with the first big new feature, the collection search engine. You will have a new button here in your main menu in NFT Butler, the search icon, which will bring you to the collection search engine. We do currently index about 300 collections and more than 3 million assets and all its trades. If you don't find your favorite NFT collection here, join us on Discord, let us know what collection we should add. We can add any collection, and it will take about 30 to 60 minutes to fully index a collection and make it available to everyone here in the collection search engine. On the left side, you will have various filtering options, such as the minimum floor price, the maximum floor price, then how many items have been sold in the last 1 day, 7 days, or 30 days. You can also set a maximum for the sold items for each of those day ranges. And you can also set a minimum collection age in days and weeks. So let's go through this and search some collections. So what I usually use just as some safety filters, and it also depends a bit on how much funds you're playing with in your wallets. So I usually search for a floor price of at least 0.2 ETH, and minimum sold items in 7 days of about 100. I think this one is the most important filter for your risk management. The lower the sales are on a collection, the higher the risk. If a bid gets accepted, you cannot sell it in time and the floor price might drop. So usually I bid between 20 and 30% below floor price. It depends a bit on the filters we will set later on. And if you want to make a quick buck, then basically I want to make sure to be able to sell this NFT within a few hours or maximum like 2 or 3 days. So that's why I'm looking for collections with a decent amount of sales per day. I usually also set a collection age of at least 30 days. Since in the first 30 days of a collection there is a lot of volatility going on, and it's very hard to predict if a collection is going up or down. So that's why I usually just filter those out to make sure the collection is in a stable situation where we can really calculate with the floor price. Other than that, you also have a search field up here. You can search here by name, and it will basically search in the collection slug of the collection or in the title. And you can also remove this filter, of course. And you also have various sorting options up here. It's basically, you can sort by name, by floor price, by total volume, and this is really the total volume, so how much ETH has been traded on this collection in all time, and of course by number of sales. And this filter will actually adjust to what you are using here in the filtering as filtering option. So if you're filtering by 30 days, then we will also see the 30-day sales stats here on every collection. And if you're filtering by 7 or 1 days, then this will update the stats here as well, and also the sorting and the filtering. And on every filter and sort option here, you can also decide if you want to sort it ascending or descending. Okay, so now we have filtered our collections, so those are potential targets for mass bidding and trading. You have several icons here, which we'll be going through in this video by the various features. First, we will have a look at the stats icon. This will basically display the floor price graph for the last 30 days of each collection. So this is really different to what you see on OpenSea. On OpenSea, you will just get the graph for the average price. But here we are effectively taking a screenshot of the floor we are rendering here. So what I can see on this collection here, already it is a very popular one. It was very stable from like beginning of July until mid of July, and it has been slightly dropping since then. So this might be an indicator that people are fearful, since a lot of holders are losing value of their NFTs here. So this is good on one hand, since people might be fearful and you will get your bids accepted when they are fearful. But on the other hand, you should also ensure to bid below the floor price, maybe by 20 or even 30%. So in case the floor price is dropping even more, you can still ensure a profit span when reselling the NFT. Also very important here, have a look at the royalties. So whenever you sell this NFT after your bid gets accepted, you will basically, so this is the percentage which you will not receive, which is basically going to OpenSea and the collection owner. On the bottom here, this is only preview data, so this is not yet implemented, since we are waiting for the API implementation from OpenSea to receive collection bids. So yeah, this is sample data, this is not related to the collection, we just give a preview on what we are working on, and we can't wait to implement this feature as soon as possible. Usually when I browse through the collections, I also have a look at this. So I check, okay, how many items are there? What is the current floor price? So this is very important, depending on how much funds you own in your wallet. And since you can only bid 1,000 times your funds in your wallet, you will also see how the items are spread among unique wallet addresses. So how many owners are owning those 100,000 assets? What was the total volume traded on this collection? How many sales did happen in the last 7 days, since I picked 7 days here? What are the royalties? The highest bid information is not yet available, since we are waiting for the integration on OpenSea, and therefore we also cannot calculate the profit span at this point, but this will be coming soon. Yes, so now I would just go through the different stats of these collections. So here we can see floor price has dropped a lot in the last 30 days. And really I think most important is the number of sales in the last 7 days, to get a feeling on how much this collection is being traded. Okay, I like this graph. I usually look for collections with a very stable floor price, since it will just reduce the risk of losing money if a bid gets accepted. So this is very stable, I think. Most collections dipped a little bit in the last 3 weeks. But this collection is still keeping up pretty good with the floor price. So here we will have enough time to sell our NFTs once a bid is getting accepted. Awesome, so let's go on. What can we do with these collections, and how are we going to create the task? So once we have chosen our collection to start a mass bidding task, we can click this icon on the very right to start a token bidding task. And what this will do is basically open a modal to define your filters on this collection. And this is very important. So this is basically all about risk management. So you can say, I don't want to filter anything on this collection. I want to go straight next step to create a token bidding task. And then you will basically bid on all the tokens in this collection. But since there are NFTs with rare traits who will sell much easier and maybe also at a higher price than the current floor price, this comes down to risk management. So now you can set your own personal filters. We are not giving any financial advice, we are just providing the tools to basically set up your dynamic filters. What do you want to target with token bidding? This is different like older versions of NFT Butler. You don't have to fill the basic information about the collection anymore since we retrieved that from our database. So collection slug is already set. And if the collection does have multiple smart contract addresses, you would be able to select it here from the drop-down. Now the first filtering criteria which can be used is if you want to include minted tokens or not. And this is basically really minted tokens are tokens which have been minted and never been sold or transferred since then, or never been sold, I think. You can also filter by rarity score. Here we basically calculate a base rarity score for each NFT in every collection. So we basically score up the rarity of each trait of each NFT and sum those scores up to have a rarity score. Here is also the formula provided, what we use to calculate this rarity score. And this field requires a range. You can filter by the highest rarity score or the lowest, and you can then define, I want to bid on the top 1000 tokens filtered by rarity score. You can also do something like, I want to exclude the first 1000, so let's bid on the second 1000 tokens. And you can also do this in reverse order by selecting, I want to select the items by the lowest rarity score. Whenever you put the filter here, so now we are selecting 901 tokens, you can click show token selection and it will basically give you a preview of what you are filtering for and the assets which will be taken into consideration when starting this bidding task. And the query we are using here to retrieve all the NFTs is exactly the same as what will be used later when starting the task. So this is really 100% what you will be targeting at this point in time, right? A lot of these filters, they change based on market conditions. So this is always a snapshot on the current market and what you would be targeting with your filter. Okay, so we have rarity score filtering here. Then we have filtering by listing price. So if you set the minimum or maximum listing price, you will be targeting all NFTs which are currently listed on OpenSea for sales. And you can basically filter for what is the minimum price they are listed or what is the maximum price they are listed. So I can say I want to target all the assets listed between 1 and 2 ETH. Let's see how many there are. Currently 58 tokens are listed between 1 and 2 ETH. Then we can also filter the collection by the last sales price. So this means the last time each asset was sold, for what price was it sold. If you set that filter, you will automatically exclude minted tokens because all those have been sold, of course. Same story as listing price, you can set the minimum range and the maximum last sales price. So here you're actually really you know, targeting people who are in profit or a loss. Here we will target people in a loss compared to the current floor price, who sold their who bought their NFTs basically last time between 1 and 2 ETH. Let's see how many these are. Now we would target 1,000 NFTs which were sold last time between 1 and 2 ETH. So you can also see the last sales price here on each of the assets. You can use the filtering and sorting option here, the sorting options basically. So you can sort it by last sales price. Now it's sorted from 2 ETH descending. You can also switch the order to ascending. So now you're checking the assets by ascending order for the last sales price. You can scroll through it. There is always one page is 100 assets, so you can go through those pages. You can also just skip 1000 by skipping 10 pages. Yes. Here you also get the most important information about the collection, just as a reminder. Very important on the last sales price, you can also combine it. So all these filters can be combined with an end condition. So whenever you set multiple filters, it will make the filtering more accurate. So it's not all conditions, it's really this and this and this, and then you will get less assets being filtered. So you can filter this sales price with holding minimum and maximum holding days. So here you are actually filtering how long does the NFT still sit in the current owner's wallet. So when was the time it was last being sold. So if you combine this, let's say with a maximum holding days of 30 days, you're now basically checking the last sales price in the market condition of the last 30 days. And I think this is important because if you set these filters and the assets have been traded a year ago, the market was completely different and hard to compare to today's condition. So with setting the maximum holding days to 30, we do now, filter in similar market conditions than what we have today for this last sales price. Let's see, 577 have been traded between 1 and 2 ETH in the last 30 days. Okay, then the next one is the minimum trade floor price in ETH. I think this is the most valuable to me, at least. I use it a lot. So this filters for all the NFTs which do have at least one trade. So one of the trades of this NFT does have a floor price of what you set here. So I can say I only want to retrieve assets which have at least one trade which has a floor price of 2 ETH. So all these NFTs I'm targeting now, they have at least a very rare trade where the cheapest is listed for 2 ETH. I hope this makes sense. I know it's a little bit complex, but I hope you understand what I mean. Okay, so now we only have 60, but 60, and they seem to be very valuable because all of these, they have a top trade floor price of 2.5 ETH. They look very similar. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's this burger or the pommes or the Coke. I don't know. One of these trades is very rare and no one is selling any of these NFTs with this trade below 2.5 ETH. You can do the same with maximum trade floor price in ETH. I usually use a lot the minimum trade floor price in ETH. And holding days we already spoken about. This is really just setting, I only want to target NFTs which are held at least 30 days, but maybe a maximum of 90 days. We can filter for this. All this data is always retrieved live from our database, so this is really what you will be bidding on. Okay, so let's do this. This is really, as I already said, about risk management. So I usually set the minimum trade floor price of like something between double and triple the floor price. And I also want to target maybe half the collection or a third of it, the more rare ones. But I will be bidding a little bit higher than collection floor price. So let's set, okay, I only want to target all the assets with a minimum trade floor price of 2 ETH. Let's see how many assets are left. Only 59. Okay, let's reduce this. On a total supply of like 5,000 NFTs, I would like to bid at least on 1 or 2,000. I mean, the easiest way is just by rarity score. Let's say I want to bid on the top 2,000 NFTs, which have at least, let's combine it, at least a trade floor price of like 1.25 ETH. Let's see how much we get. Still only 59. Okay, now we target 2,000, since we are only filtering by rarity score for the top 2,000. Let's sort this by trade floor price, descending to see where the top trade floor prices are at with the top 2,000 rarity score NFTs. Okay, they are around 1 ETH, so they are not too far from the collection floor price, but still higher 20%. Okay, that's fine for me. I just need to get an understanding, like what is the expected level. I think I can say this NFT, this should be like 1 ETH. This is going to be important once we define our bidding price. Okay, so now we are targeting the top 2,000 NFTs in this collection by rarity score. Let's go next. So here on the second step, we define our token, our bidding task configuration. So let's give it a name. So Mac Goblin by Rarity top 2000. You don't have to fill the token ID range anymore, since this is a dynamically filtered task. Whenever it starts, also when it starts again later, it will always execute this filter, what was set here, and retrieve those assets dynamically based on your filter. At any point in time, also when you created your task, you can edit it and go back and change your filters and change the task. So let's choose a wallet. So here you have your wallet. You need to choose one which will be used for bidding. Now you can either decide, I want to do fixed bidding in ETH or in percentage below the floor. So then it will always bid the same value on all of the assets. Or you can say, I want to use the outbid option, which will let you define a minimum bid price and a maximum bid price. And if there are already other bids active on all these assets, then the task will basically try to outbid other bidders up to your maximum bid price. So here we can set, I usually go with percentage below floor. So now the bidding price is relative to the floor price, and also if the floor price changes, the bid level, the bid price will change according to the floor price. We have 10% royalties on this collection, so if we only go like 10% below floor price, we would not make any profit if we sell it at floor price. Even though we can calculate somehow, maybe we can sell it at 1 ETH, because the top 2,000 rarity tokens have a top trade floor price of like 1 ETH at least. But this is still risky, right? We don't know if we can sell it at the current best trade floor price. So I would go with something like 30% below the floor price, which gives us a profit span of 20%, up to 20% below the floor price, which gives us still a profit span of like 10%, which is decent on this floor price level. Also calculating in the floor price might drop a little bit. Then we have two options which are optional. You can say I only want to bid if I end up in this range as the highest bidder. This is especially useful if you don't have too much funds in your wallet to play with, since you can only bid 1,000 times your funds in your wallet on OpenSea. This will save you some money, right? If someone else is bidding higher, then don't bid at all, and you will save this bidding funds for another bid where you're ending up as the highest. I usually don't use this option because the market is very dynamic, and even though if you're not the highest bidder at the time of bidding, you might still be ending up as the highest bidder at some point in time in the future, right? Because the other bid is going to expire maybe in 2 hours and you're bidding for 10 hours. So, it's a numbers game, and it depends so much on when is someone there to accept the bid if you're the highest bidder at that time. And the second option here is skip bid when owning highest bid. So this is useful if you're running looping tasks. Looping tasks are going to wait until the first bid expires, but you can still say, okay, if there is still a bid active from my wallet, I don't want to bid at all. The default behavior, if this is not on, is just if you're the highest bidder, it will just refresh the bid and put a new bid at the same level as your current highest bid. I usually use this option. This gives you the option to set a hard cap bid price, which means if you're bidding relative to the floor price, you can set a fixed level in ETH, which is never going to be overbid. So here I can say, regardless what the floor price does, since I'm bidding relative to the floor, for sure I never want to bid higher than 0.7 ETH. This is like, yeah, maybe 0.75. This is like a little bit more than 10% below current floor price, which would, which I can expect, subtracting the royalties, this is maybe what I get at least when selling one of these NFTs. Here you basically define the outbidding steps. So if someone does already have an active bid on an asset, I want to outbid the current active bid by 1%. You can also set a fixed amount in ETH. So you can say I want to outbid in 0.1 ETH. This is a little bit, that's too much, maybe 0.01 ETH. But I usually use just 1%. And now you can decide the validity of the bid. So all the bids, how long should they be active? Since we are bidding on 2,000 assets, the task is going to take like a little bit more than 1 hour. So the minimum we should set here is maybe 1 hour. I will maybe set 2 hours. And last option is if you want to enable looping. Looping means the task is going to repeat itself either forever, so until you stop it, it's just going to repeat itself, and if there is any blocker like your fund limit is reached, it will just pause and try again later. Or you can also say up to a maximum of 5 times. So now it will process all the 2,000 assets 5 times for bidding, so total of 10 hours basically. I usually use forever. Once all the 2,000 bids have been processed, it will wait until the first bid expires to start from scratch again. Okay, let's create this task, and we do now have a new task here. Let's start this task. This will take a moment since it has to execute the dynamic query filter. from our database, and you can see it has now loaded the 2000 most rarest NFTs, and it starts bidding 30% below the floor price up to 20. You can view logs. The completed section will show you all the completed bids basically. And you can see now, okay, we are currently bidding at 0.59 ETH. I just run in my Infura limit because I already did thousands of bids today. I just hit my limits. It will now, since it hit the limits, it will now wait 30 minutes to retry again, but I can also force it to retry again since one of my Infura keys is still having some open requests left, I'm sure. So we can have a look at the completed tokens now. We can see the current bids which are being processed on each of those token IDs. Some of them have failed. This is very usual, but most of them will be completed. We can also see there are currently no other bids on these assets. The reason for this is also we do currently not have collection bidding data integrated, so we do only see if other bidders are bidding on these token IDs. And the reason for this is collection bidding data is currently not available in the OpenSea API. We are waiting for it to be made available, and we will integrate it as soon as possible, since this will bring even more value to Outbidding, and we can't wait for it. But this task is now going to run with about 1,500 bits per hour. So in about a little more than 1 hour, this task is going to be completed. And if you have any tasks in the queued section here, the next task is going to be picked up. Great, I hope you liked it. And the next feature is going to give you insights into traits of a collection and how we can do bidding tasks on the individual traits of collections. So we have been searching collections and creating bidding tasks on top of collection with dynamic filters and preview of assets. Now let's dig deeper into a collection. There is another button, a new button available called Trades on each of those collections, and if we click on it, we will actually zoom in to the collection and display all its trade value pairs available in this collection as a sub-collection. So we can see we are still in Adam Bomb Squad, and there is a trade category called background branded, and the value is yes. There is also a value no. The total collection has 25,000 items, and only 600 items do have this trade value pair. Now you can see all these trading stats. We calculate them on each of the trade value pairs, so on each of the trades, and we basically provide these stats to be used for filtering. So we can now filter all these trades by minimum floor price. I mean, the floor price is defined by the cheapest listed NFT of a group of NFTs, right? So the floor price for this trade here is 0.49 ETH, because the cheapest listed NFT with background branded equal yes is listed at this price. And for background branded equals no, the cheapest listed is 0.3 ETH. So let's search trades within this collection with a trade floor price of at least 0.8 ETH. And we do also have the same options now, filtering for minimum and maximum sold items, and also minimum average price and maximum average price in the last 7 days. Since we are only now receiving subgroups of assets in this collection. We are not talking about too many assets, so also the 7-day sales value is going to be much lower than what we are used to on a collection level. So let's say I want to filter, let's just filter for minimum floor price at this point. We could also filter for different smart contract addresses if there are different smart contracts within a collection, but for this collection we do only have one. And same story as at collection search level, we can sort all the trades here by category. So this is basically this part here, by trade floor price, by average price, and by number of sales. So let's go by trade floor price, since I usually want to target the trades which are more valuable than the common trades, because, you know, I want to bid on them maybe a little bit above floor price, so people will receive higher bids. But if they sell it to me, I can sell it for much more than what the current floor price of the collection is. Okay, so here we are at trade floor prices who are, you know, way higher than the collection floor price. Collection floor price is, I think, at 0.3 ETH here. So 42 ETH is like insane. But it does also not mean too much, since we can see here only one NFT is listed. So someone is just putting insane money on this trade, which is actually not really the truth. So I guess he will just never sell this NFT for this price. So then the number of listed assets is also an important indicator on how reliable is this floor price here. However, we have also integrated a stats page on each of those trade boxes, which will first display the collection stats as a reference. So what is the global collection having, how many items does it have, what is the current floor price, how many items does it have, what is the current floor price, how many sales did happen on collection level in the last 7 days, and how many sales happened in the last 7 days on this trade, and the royalties of the collection. And here on the trade level, we see how many NFTs do we have with this trade value pair, what is the current floor price of this trade value pair, how many sales did we see in the last 7 days, and what was the average price. Now we do also record the same way as the collection floor price. We do record each trade floor price, also with a snapshot every 5 hours. So we can see the floor price of this collection was actually 2.5 ETH for most of the time in the last 30 days. Then we didn't have a floor price at all, because none of the NFTs were listed having this trade. And now we cannot see it yet, because it's only like one dot. Like a few minutes ago, someone listed an asset of this trade at 42 ETH. So when it comes to price discovery and to rate how valuable a trade is, I usually check this stats page to also see what was the last 5 sales. And I think this gives you a very good sense of, or a feeling on what level can you expect to sell this NFT if you get a bid accepted. And we can see here already people have sold this trade by nearly around floor price. So I don't think it's very valuable. Here we had one which were way higher, but maybe this asset also had other trades I think the inner spark color hot pink is not like an important trade, so that's why we see a lot of, you know, differences here from very low to very high. So trade bidding game requires a lot of understanding about the collection and all its characteristics. So for a newbie, I wouldn't suggest to start trade bidding unless you already, you know, observed the collection for quite some time. But I was bidding already, I'm bidding since months on Adam Bomb Squad, so I know it pretty well. So what we can do here, we can also search by trade name or value. So the trade name would be this and the value would be this. And I know there is a trade category called character, this one. And then there are, I don't know, maybe 100 different characters of atom bombs. So this trade really defines the base picture of it. So electrical atom, for example, they all look electrical. Let's take another one. Big apple atom, they are all apples, right? So since I'm now filtering by character, I think all these trades, they are really important, because once an NFT has this trade, the picture changes entirely. And I think, I mean, people in the end are rating trades by the look of the picture as well, right? At least. I don't think it's true for every collection, right? If a collection is gaming related and trades define how good an item is in-game, then it might be a completely different story. But for this collection, it's really all about the picture. Okay, so now we filter for characters with a minimum floor price of 0.8 ETH, while the collection floor price is at 0.3. So we can now browse through these trades and find valuable ones. So let's maybe have a look at this one. Okay, we can see the trade floor price has spiked from 3 ETH to 7 ETH, and sales were going, there were not much sales happening since April, which was a different market, but sales were going, you know, around 1 ETH, which is pretty good, right? Because the collection floor price always has been like at, you know, 0.4 to 0.3 ETH, maybe 0.5 some time ago. But it has never been like this high. So this trade is definitely valuable compared to the collection floor price. So I would bid on this. Then we have football card atoms. Same story here. If we get a bit accepted on this one, current floor price is at 2 ETH. I think we could sell it maybe at around 1 ETH or 0.7 ETH, at least double the floor price, I think. Character wings atom is also the same story. Last 5 sales have been happening around 1 ETH, so pretty much good target, I think, for trade bidding. And the advantage of trade bidding is really you want to select trades which are not too rare but still rarer than the common ones. Maybe bid a little bit above floor price, so the owner gets a good feeling, oh, I can sell this above floor price, so this is great. And if you get a bit accepted, just sell it for double the floor price or something like that. Again, no financial advice, of course. We are just providing a tool. Everyone has to find out their own strategies. I'm just telling you know what I did the last few weeks. Yeah, so this is the trade search engine. Next topic is going to be how can we use the trade search engine to create token bidding tasks on top of a trade and also multiple trades. Let's talk about how we can create bidding tasks actually. As previously already explained, we are now in the trade view of a collection at a bomb squad. And same as for the collection view, we do now have a button token bid on each of these trade boxes. So when we open this, we again get the first step modal to create a bidding task on top of this trade. So we first get the collection stats. So how many assets are there in the collection? What is the current floor price for this collection? What is the overall 7-day sales count for this collection? And what are the royalties? And we do also get the same stats for this trade we have currently selected. So there are 67 NFTs with this trade. The current trade floor price for this trade is 1.1 ETH. One NFT has been sold in the last 7 days, and the average sales price was 1 ETH. So when we now check the asset preview, we should get 67 assets or NFTs, since we are now filtering this group of NFTs with having this character cloud add-on. Let's load this. Okay, we get 67 assets. We do have the same sorting options up here like on collections. We can sort those assets by rarity score as per default. So we can see the score here of each of these individual NFTs. Sorted descending, we can also revert it bottom up. So now we can see the scores of the NFTs with the lowest rarity score, but we can also sort it by last sales price if they have been sold already. We can also sort by listed price for the assets who are currently listed. Here we have the listed price. We can also sort it by trade floor price, which is basically always the same since we are only sorting within this trade. And we can also sort it by token ID. Further, we do now have the option to filter this trade by additional filters. So again, we are having end conditions here. So what we could specify based on this on this trade, from these 67 tokens, we only want to get the top 20 by rarity score. So now we would only target 20 assets having this trade with the highest rarity score. And we can use the same filtering options as on collections. So we can filter by listing price in ETH, minimum and maximum listing price. Then we can filter by the last sales price in ETH. If they have been sold already, what was the last selling price? And we can also filter by minimum and maximum holding days, same as on the collection bidding tasks. I'm not going to explain all of these in detail anymore. If you would like to dig deeper how they work and what they are about, please use the timestamps in the description and go back to collection bidding tasks to get the explanation on all of these filters. What we can also do on a trade level, since we are now targeting only small groups of assets, depending on the collection of course, not every collection does have that many trades as at a bomb squad, where you end up having only very few assets in such a trade group. And I also filtered for trades with a high floor price, which also, you know, makes the filtering for trades with only a few assets. But we can also say, okay, let's select multiple of these trades, since I'm currently interested in bidding on all of these trades in one task, maybe this one, maybe some of the fruits. So now we have 10 trades selected, and on top here we can say, okay, let me create a bidding task on all of these NFTs within those 10 trades. So again, we open the modal, we can see the collection stats and the trade stats of one of the trades. We can also collapse to see all the different trade stats here. And we can also reuse this again, and let's check again. So all of the selected trades to have between 40 and 100 NFTs. So this is maybe, I don't know, 600 NFTs we are currently targeting with this selection. Let's have a look at the token selection. 822. And rarity score goes from 2,300 to 350. Let's also check some of them. Okay, so now on top of these 10 trades, let's assign some additional filtering options. So maybe out of these 822, I only want to have the top 500 by rarity score. Let's do this and have a look at our selection. Okay, we only selected top 500, a rarity score from 2,300 to down to 400-ish, nearly 500. So let's start the task on this. Let's also have a quick look at the trade floor price. Trade floor price is all between, 1 ETH and 1.5 ETH. So since the collection floor price is only like 0.3 ETH, I think we are safe to bid a little bit above floor price here, and then hopefully get some bids accepted and flip those for double the floor price. Let's go next step. Now we can create a bidding task again. Let's give this a name. Adding bombs by trades by rarity top 500. Let's choose a wallet which will be used for bidding. And I'm now doing outbidding in percentage. So I'm bidding relative to the current collection floor price. So very important here, we are still bidding relative to the collection floor price and not to the trade floor price, since bidding relative to the trade floor price can be very dangerous. If a trade only has very few assets and you're bidding relative to this floor price, maybe only one asset is listed at ridiculous amount of ETH, then this could end up, in draining your wallet for something which is actually not as valuable as the trade floor price might indicate. So usually what I would do here is like 20% below floor price to 10% below floor price. But since I selected very rare trades, we can also revert this with putting negative numbers. So let's say I want to bid 10% above floor price. I know this is a little bit confusing. The minus actually reverts it and makes it above floor price. We will improve this in future versions, but for now this is how it works. Up to a maximum of 20% above floor price. I also want to define a hard cap max bidding price limit of, let's say, 0.4 ETH, since I'm expecting to sell those NFTs around 0.6 to maybe 0.8 ETH. I want to do outbidding steps in 1%. So if someone else is already bidding, I want to outbid him by 1%. So I will bid 1% more than what he is bidding currently. And we are targeting 500 tokens. Takes like 20 minutes to bid on those. let's put a validity of, let's put 2 hours. And as usual, I also make the task automatically repeat itself. Once it has processed all the 500 bits, it will start over from scratch once the first bit expires. So let's create the task. And also, if you want to get deep, we can also edit the task here, change the selection again, or change our settings. And if you would like to get more depth insight into what are the options here, please use the timestamps in the description and go back to collection bidding task. I'm explaining all these options in detail there. Okay, so I'm not updating. And let's start this task. So it will create based on the query we saw in the asset preview. Basically, it will create a token bidding task on the top 500 Rarity tokens from our selection of these 10 trades, and we can view logs and see what we are currently bidding at. So we can see, since we are now targeting rare trades, there are other bidders bidding higher sometimes here. But it doesn't look too bad. So here we are not outbidding. Here we are not outbidding. But I have also seen some bids where we are actually ending up as the highest bidder. Let's have a look. Okay, so people are bidding around 0.4 ETH on those assets, not on all of them. So we could extend our outbidding range maybe to, you know, like 30 to 40% above floor price, and we could actually outbid, you know, those. Not all of them, this one and not, but others. Here we are the highest bidder again. Yeah, I mean, it's a numbers game, right? We're not going to be the highest bidder everywhere, but maybe the other bids expire at some point. It's again risk management, right? What risk am I comfortable with to take when bidding on rare assets? I usually go low risk. Maybe I don't get as much bids accepted as I want, but if a bid gets accepted, I know I can make decent profit by reselling the NFT for above floor price. For these rare trades, I would usually go with double the floor price or something like that. Awesome. I hope you liked this video and all the new features we have integrated into the new NFT Butler version. If you would like to participate in our community or let us know about your feature requests and suggestions, we are doing community-driven development. So buy one of our lifetime licenses, get your hands-on experience, start with us trading NFTs, and let us know about your feedback and what you would like to see next in NFT Butler. We are really developing based on community requests and also community voting to make this tool the best NFT trading tool in the space.